Welcome, everybody. My name's Jeff St. Laurent. This is the Tuesday Live Show. And as you can see, I have a phenomenal guest. All my guests are phenomenal, but I'm excited about her today. I'm going to introduce her in a second. She's warming up. Get ready to go. I record all of my live shows. I put them on my university at sellingcoaching.com. I help coaches transition to a full-time business. There's a lot of great resources, if I can say that myself, on sellingcoaching.com. So check out my university. And if you want to start right at the homepage, if you can enter your name and email for a great resource that I have there, it's called Launching Your Full-Time Coaching Business, the First 3 Vital Steps. That's not only going to get you that great resource, but that's also going to put you into my community where you get a lot of great stuff on a regular basis to help you on your transition to full-time. So without any further ado, I'd love to welcome my awesome client, Tonya. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good to have you.
Jeff.
So Tonya and I worked together over the last 5 months, really from September of last year through February of this year, in my 5-month group program. And when she came on, so we've been kind of off for like a month or so. She came on, I'm like, oh my gosh, I miss working with you. And so I'm excited to have her here because, over the course of the 5 months from where she started with, her intentions and everything, afterwards, we always recap when we're done. And one of the biggest things she was saying was like, oh, I exceeded all my expectations, And so as we talk today, I really want to, for all of you listening to this, watching the recording or watching this live, I really want to give you an idea of, what is it like behind the scenes of all this stuff? Because in the world of the coaching world, we get inundated with all this stuff where it can seem, oh, it's just simple and easy and glamorous, but that's not always the case. But it doesn't mean you can't create results. So Tonya, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Tell us, so you came to me in September of last year.
Yeah.
And give everyone a snapshot of kind of like where you were at actually in your business. And also like, what were you feeling where you're like, I need some help, where you wanted to move forward with the group?
Where was I at my business in September? I was at the beginning. I didn't know what to do. I had just came out of, my coach training with IPAC, and I was eager and excited, but at the same time, I had zero direction. And so, I had joined your email list, your community. I don't know, a few weeks, maybe a couple months prior, because I was doing the quick start. And I just happened to see one about the group coaching program, and it landed at the right time. And it just felt very aligned with what I was trying to do, because I know at the beginning, I had zero idea of exactly where I should be putting my time, and how to build this business. It was such a new thing for me. So that's where I started.
Yeah. Basically started from scratch.
Yeah, literally from scratch.
Yeah. And so as we started moving this forward, talk about some of the things that you started doing, like so you started implementing some things. What were we figuring out? Talk through what it was like for you, what you were doing.
Well, it's funny because I know when you and I first started talking in September, my goal initially was to get an idea of what being part of a group coaching program looked like. I had never experienced one outside of just, the group setting with IPAC. But I really wanted to understand what that was like. So I wanted to see if it's something that I wanted to put into my own business. And so that was my main goal. Little did I know that I was going to get so much more, including just a tremendous amount of confidence in myself, my coaching business, and what I needed to do. So, there, you definitely had to push me a little bit and to stretch me past some comfort. There were some things that I really wasn't super eager to do. But, with your guidance and, just being able to, a little hand holding, I think is kind of what helped. It's funny. I don't know about everybody else, but when I got done with IPAC, I felt like I was inundated with a whole bunch of coaches, 10 weeks to 10K a month or all these type of things. And it was just like, just so much information that was sent out, and it really was overwhelming. And you came in at the perfect time and really kind of just helped with some of the the structure of what was needed. And, I really enjoyed the beginning of the group coaching program and how you just kind of laid out where we need to spend our time. And I don't know if I
Yeah.
answered your question. I kind of rambled, I know.
No, you didn't. No, that you're talking to your process, right? So, right. So there were some internal pieces that like there was a resistance to like, all right, so here's what we need to do, right? And you're like, all right. And it's not like you weren't willing to do them, but stuff was coming up for you when you started to do them, like starting your email community, right? And starting to email people on a regular basis, starting to, reach out to people to potentially set up events. So talk about a little bit for you, like, all right, we're starting that marketing, right? Obviously there's the back end stuff, which is the website and things like that. But then there's the, sending your emails on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. Not only just setting it up, but doing that, starting to reach out to people. Talk through a little bit about, that's where I feel like that first like month and a half for you, you were like, I could see you right on the cusp of just like, I just need to keep going. And once something, I forget when it was, something clicked for you. I remember like I could see it in one of our group calls. And after that, you moved faster. But talk through a little bit about.
Well, I don't know exactly what it was that clicked, but it was really, I mean, the best way to describe it was, I think I was holding on to a little bit of imposter syndrome. Not necessarily thinking that anything that I had to say, I mean, like who wanted to hear it? And so I think that was a little bit of my struggle at first. And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember you given some sort of guidance or tip where it was, I mean, just send it, write it for yourself, and it was the whole concept of, I'm not really putting this out there for anybody other than myself. When I was able to kind of accept that, it took away the resistance of putting anything out there, because otherwise it was like I was putting this out there in hopes of having a certain type of reaction or a certain type of outcome from it. And if I wasn't going to get those reactions, or I wasn't going to get a response, or I wasn't going to, the person didn't turn into a client or whatever, it would have been, in my mind, it was somehow a failure, So it was being able to turn off the expectation of something coming from said email or post or whatever it was I was putting out there. But once you helped me with that piece, it seemed like everything got a lot easier.
Yeah. And what happened was, I just heard was you just had this internal shift in terms of how you looked at things, how you were doing things, right? You were doing things in a certain way, like for other people, or in order to get a result like business or clients, etc. And when you started just coming from the standpoint of like, I just want to create this because it feels good and I want to say it and I want to share it, that's where it was just like, you got rid of that resistance.
Yeah. Yeah. They got a lot more fun too. It went from being, I have to do this and feeling like work, to enjoying this. And actually, I'll tell you, it just came up for me. It was a combination of you and a conversation I had with my husband, because I remember it was early on, and it was where we were talking about these email communities and putting all this type of marketing, and I was feeling really uncomfortable about it. And I think I shared this with you, but if not, I'm going to. But there was a conversation I was having with my husband, and he had said to me, he's like, you used to really talk about the coaching, and I really enjoyed hearing you share how much you love coaching. And right now, all I'm hearing you do is talk about the business, and it doesn't seem like you're in it as much. And when he said that to me, it was like the shake and wake up call I needed. And he was 100% right. I was so focused on trying to build this business, I had lost sight of why I started doing this to begin with. And that was to coach. I just didn't realize when I decided I wanted to coach that I had to build a business too. But I had almost kind of gotten away from the love of coaching and was just solely focused on the business, and it lost the enjoyment, really.
And that's where when you found that shift, you made that connection, you found the joy in it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That got you then out there, right? Then you started getting in front of your audience more, not only with your emails, but online, but also you started through the conversations, opening up conversations with your network and things like that. And that's when you had some opportunities for clients. I
Yes.
feel like that's when I remember we started working you through with that first client, that like what I call the qualifying process, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
And it was like, I think it was the first one, and they ended up hiring you.
Mhm.
And like, I think we walked you through like step by step. We had a bunch of calls, whatever. And it was like once you did that and then another one, there was like this confidence, at least this is my perspective. I'm throwing this back to you, right?
Yeah.
Is there was this, oh my God, I see how this can work now. I see how if I can put myself out there and then when people inquire, I can now I now am confident in this process of how to get clients.
Yeah.
Talk through that a little bit, because after that, it seems like every week you're coming back and like, hey, I got another client. I get an email. Guess what? Guess what? Another client, another two clients. And I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely, there was definitely a shift with the confidence. And then I think for me too is I have always been somebody who does thrive a little bit best when I have some sort of process or structure.
Hmm.
And I think starting this whole journey, I mean, I've never done it before. And so there was no existing process or structure. I had to create it. And although some of it, I mean, some of it's very unique to me. A lot of it came from, your expertise and even other people in the group too, hearing some of the things that worked for them and being able to implement what felt right and was aligned. But yeah, when I was able to go through that qualifying process with you and understanding how that works and then just implement it as this is the way we do things, it kind of took out the guesswork and also kind of took out any of the what ifs or the insecurities that you may go into with each one of these calls, because you don't necessarily know what to expect. This is our process, this is how we do it. And so when I had that, it all just got it started going really pretty smoothly. And I mean, for the most part, my conversion ratio from leads to clients was looking pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. What have you found through this process so far? Right. So we're now 6, 7 months in, et cetera.
Yeah.
Through this process so far, what do you find for yourself has been the most helpful to keep you focused on a day-to-day basis?
That's a good question. Because I do have to resort back to it sometimes. I think it's really just sticking with the process and what works. I know one time you even reminded me towards the end, you were just like, no, this is your process, stick with it. No shortcuts. Because I think it is easy sometimes, especially if you have somebody who maybe reaches out to get excited and cut some corners, or want to at least. I think that really just remembering, what works, has really helped. And then also, one of my biggest takeaways from the whole program was the group setting and the other people that were in the group, being able to see where all of us were in our journeys. And they were all completely different journeys. And we were all at different places, different. I mean, some of our businesses were newer than others. Some have been around for a little while. All different coaching spaces, but yet there were so many similarities in some of the things that we experienced, and a great amount of camaraderie too. And I really enjoyed it. I mean, I miss it. I mean, I wish it would have been another 5 more months.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you on that. Right. Everyone has their own space and their own journey. Um, as you move forward with your business, um, what do you feel your plan is now that you have the insights that you have?
Oh my gosh, I have too many plans. We're going to have to get together, in the future to help out with some of them, because I do have a lot of big goals. I am continuing to grow my client base. Currently it is one-on-one, but I am going to be, incorporating the group coaching as you and I had started to work on together. I'm starting to, step into some spaces, doing a little bit more podcast. I did one a couple weeks ago, and I've got another one scheduled for the first week of April. I am enjoying that. I do want to, I want to get out and get in front of people. I know that's something that you and I had talked about. We had not gotten there yet. But I definitely want to start getting out more and working with people, whether it be, speaking engagements, workshops, whatever. But I've got a lot of big ideas that I want to, really start working towards over the next few years.
Yeah, and I see some excitement in terms of where you're going from. I'm
Yeah.
going to put you on the spot a little bit here just to see with whatever you come up with. But so for a new coach who's coming into this, who's watching this, and they're where you were 5 months ago, 6 months ago, like I'm new to this, like I'm scared, I'm nervous, I don't know what to do, anything like that. What are some bullet point takeaways for you that, like, if you were gonna say here, here are some of the big things that I feel been the most helpful for me so far? What would you say some of those are?
Well, for me, really gaining confidence in myself, not only as a coach, but in the business. That was huge because without the confidence, I wouldn't have been able to start implementing some of the practices that you help guide us to. If I would not have been able to shift my mindset around, who I am and how I want to show up, the first email would never have gotten written. So I think really being able to work on some of the mindset and the confidence and a little bit of that posture syndrome really was a big difference for me. And then I know like the first, few weeks of the program was really more structured in trying to give us kind of the roadmap on the steps to take to kind of grow your business and to start moving it. And that was really critical for me because, I had all these different ideas. And if you go and start trying to look at what you should be doing, you're going to find, just years worth of information to try to cipher through. So the biggest takeaways and the biggest things that I think really helped for me was the confidence and then even the beginning roadmap. The rest of it was all great, and helpful too. But I think those were the two biggest pieces for me.
Yeah. So really, I'm hearing a lot of ways is just like, deciding on a path, right? So,
Yeah.
Obviously if you're working with someone like myself, that's one thing, but if you're on your own and you're not doing that, it's just like, you've just, at some point, you've got to pick a path with some structure to say like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Here's a direction I'm going down and start down that path.
Yeah. Just get
Right?
started.
Like, to get started, because the rest will start to unfold from there.
Yeah.
Right. That's where I found, like with you and everybody else, right, is like, here's how I'm starting you off. Here's why I'm starting off this way. Here's what to do to get started. But if you notice from there, we started very, very structured and then got to a space where it's like, okay, now we need to market. Here are some ideas. What path do you want to go down? What's your bandwidth? And then let's see what evolves from there. And then everyone started to evolve in their own ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And mind you, I got to say this too, is if you remember, which I know you do, as you're going through this, life was coming at you full on. Not that we need to go all the details. One of which is like, I remember you came one day because someone else was doing the same thing. It's like, oh, I think we're moving, which, X amount, like a month plus later, you're like, okay, we're not moving, but still you're dealing with life, right? So you're doing this all while life's coming at you. Just briefly share that piece, to share the details necessarily, but like how that factored into your ability to stay focused on what you're doing here.
Yeah. And I don't mind sharing anything. I'm an open book. Yeah, I mean, we had decided that we were going to be moving right at the same time as I was launching my first group coaching program. And so that threw a little bit of a hiccup in there because, here is my first group coaching program, which it's my first. So, it's exciting, but there's a little nerves and everything around there. And we decide that we want to move. And it's my husband's like, literally, let's start packing stuff up and getting the house ready. So it was a very fast thing. And not to mention, when we were talking about moving, and I'm not sure that I shared this part with you, but we were literally talking about up and moving from somewhat city life, suburbia, to 45-minute radius somewhere in the sticks where the nearest grocery store is probably an hour away. I mean, we were talking about like a total lifestyle change, but it was all fine. The thing is I really focused on just managing what I can control. I made some shifts and I had to pivot a little bit, and I really tried to just not be attached to really any outcome. And it allowed me to not be upset after I packed up the house and we decided not to move. I was like, okay, well, we stay, I mean, yes, I put off the group coaching program until a later date. And was it ideal? No, but was I upset about it? No, I mean, it's okay, so it allowed me to walk the talk as I'm going through life, so the same things that I'm having to help my clients with, I'm being challenged with at the same time. And it just kind of gave me the opportunity to, live it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just the detachment was the thing that I heard the loudest, right? When we detach from those things, it allows you to be more in the flow, even in an otherwise maybe very chaotic state.
Yeah.
In closing this off, what were I talked about like how you exceeded everything, in terms of, it sounds like the program exceeded your expectations. It sounds like you exceeded your own expectations. Mm-hmm. Just talk about some of what was exceeded on both fronts in terms of your own results and maybe even with the program.
I came out a completely different person I went in with, and that was not an expectation. I was just hoping to have a little bit of guidance on, where I spend my money and where I put my time in, how much I should charge for coaching and, little things like that. I really didn't expect, I didn't really expect to come out significantly different than I went in, but I did. And I kind of came in, a little bit more reserved, definitely, lacking some of the confidence in myself, in my coaching business, and all of it. And I came out, I mean, just I'm a better coach. I've got a business that I'm proud of. I mean, is it 100% where I want it to be yet? No, but I'm also in my first year. So, I mean, like, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at. And that right there, the fact that I'm happy where I'm at, that was huge for me too, because, I've always been one of those people who very much sets goals. And then it's when you reach those goals that you allow yourself time to celebrate. And I've allowed myself the ability to celebrate the small accomplishments. And in doing so, I find that the bigger ones are coming a lot quicker because I'm just kind of enjoying the whole process. And I learned how to kind of step into my authenticity too, which makes it even more fun. So, I mean, it changed me far beyond any expectations that I had coming into it.
Yeah. And it's just so exciting to hear the words, fun, enjoyment, authenticity. Like there's a certain ease that you have about this whole process that's what we're going for, right? Because what's the point of having our own business if it's painful and it's not fun and it's hard and arduous? Like it just doesn't make any sense. You could have it in a job somewhere else and get a regular paycheck, yeah. Right? But yeah, so Tonya, it's awesome having this conversation and creating this and to see where you've come. I'm going to put into the chat right now Tonya's website, so definitely check that out. TonyaChaplinCoaching.com, but it will be there. I'll put it down below where I have this recording as well. I highly urge you and recommend that you check out our website. Enter your name and email on her website. You can become a part of her community. If nothing else, not only for her great information she shares each week, but also just so you can start to see what she's doing. Right. I think that's a big thing is just starting to understand, like if you're connecting with, her path and what she's sharing, observing and modeling to me is the best way to do that. And Tonya, as I've said, at the end of the group, but it was awesome working with you. I look forward to whatever comes in the future. But mostly it's the trust that you have for the space. Even when you didn't have trust in yourself or belief in yourself, maybe you trusted me. You trusted me a lot. And every time I came at you with like, okay, so what does this look like? And there was clearly resistance and whatever else is going on. You just sat in this really trusting space and you received it all and look at what you created. So it's awesome. And I can't wait to see I have you on again in here in a year, 2 years to see, what you created from that point.
Would love it. And I can't thank you enough, Jeff. It was truly amazing working with you. And I look forward to doing it again in the near future.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for watching. And we'll be back soon with more great stuff like this. Thanks everyone.